Being black in America should not be a death sentence.
The shooting of Tony Robinson. Tragic story overall. I'm gonna tell you what really happened. The media reported the case as a white officer entering and simply shooting Tony Robinson without reason. Sounds racially motivated, right? The cop, Officer Maddie Kenny, shot and killed the teen, who at the time was on drugs, hallucinogenic. We know this from an autopsy report they did on him. The officer claimed that Tony attacked him, and the attorney claimed that Kenny suffered a concussion. The cop was called because there was a 911 dispatch call that Robinson was behaving erratically. On top of that, Robinson pleaded guilty to an armed robbery last year. Due to this, the AP's review of the case also included the fact that he was antisocial, impulsive, and more willing to take a risk. Police were also told that Robinson was jumping in and out of traffic and struck somebody on the Friday night before Madison officer Matt Kenny went to the house and the tragic incident happened. An example of clear-cut racism? Like the media suggests? No. What would you do differently? No amount of money can replace the loved one, and I understand that. I feel for the family, and may he rest in peace.
After what we heard today, there's no doubt that this man needs to be prosecuted. This man came up to Alton Sterling, threatened to kill him, and at the end of the day, he killed him. And so there's no need to be measured anymore. We have the facts. We know what happened, and now it's time for the Attorney General to do his job.
Interactions, but to provide you with the context that MTV News and Vox and HuffPo refuses to. Clearly, Alton Sterling wasn't shot for selling CDs. He was shot because someone called in a report that he was threatening a homeless man with a gun. He was tased first and he continued to resist arrest, and he had a firearm on him, which I'm guessing was illegal because this guy had a rap sheet a mile long, including being a registered sex offender and having done time in prison for violent crimes. This wasn't a routine pat down. This was an altercation with a longtime felon who didn't want to go back to the slammer. Is it unfortunate? Yes. Okay, Michael Brown was not shot for stolen cigarillos. What happened at that convenience store was a robbery, not shoplifting. There was use of violent force. He was identified as a suspect in that robbery. He reached for an officer's gun. But hands up, don't shoot! His hands weren't up. He was punching a cop in the face and reaching for his gun. When that happens, sometimes officers are trained to shoot.
Captain David Dorn, who lost his life in St. Louis, and he was killed by a looter. He served 38 years in the St. Louis Police Department. His wife, Ann, is a sergeant with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. He is a hero. I also want to note, because there have been 45 officers lost in the line of duty this year, and my heart breaks for them. And as a new mom myself, my heart particularly breaks for two women in particular who I was reading about their stories today. Officer Breanne Leith of the Indianapolis Police Department. On April 9th, 2020, she was shot and killed. She survived by her 3-year-old son, her sister, and her parents. She was a National Guard veteran, and my heart breaks for the family of Officer Leith. And Officer Tiffany Victoria Enriquez of the Honolulu Police Department on January 19th, 2020. Officer Enriquez was shot and killed as well, leaving 3 daughters, 1 grandson, and she was a U.S. Air Force Reserve veteran. These are our heroes. Thank you so much to our officers who are protecting our streets. Many have been shot, some have been killed. It's a travesty, and let us stand with law enforcement and recognize the huge contribution that they have made to our society and continue to do so each and every day. Thank you so much, guys.
I wanted to have a moment of silence for George Floyd, who was brutally murdered.
But this is not out of the ordinary. Again, the point of this video is not to justify all of the killings, nor is it to condemn all of the killings. I think if we're being honest, I've been fair and pretty reasonable. If you don't think so, let me know below. The point is that when it's Black Lives Matter, or MTV News, or HuffPo, or whatever the organization is that day, when they put out there this idea that cops in record numbers are simply killing black people because of a level of melanin in their skin for benign activities and no reason at all, what does that do? Well, it makes it okay to vilify cops. It makes it okay to dehumanize cops. And it makes it okay to treat them subhumanely. Because think about this for a second. If you genuinely believe, as many of the cop killers out there right now do, that officers are killing people for simple things like selling CDs, for going to a birthday party, well, of course you could justify it as your duty to kill police officers. And people have. My point is that if you are not honest, if you are simply using a false narrative to try and generate clicks, you then allow somebody to aim their latest outrage cannon at whoever subject you deem to be suitable. In this case, lately, unfortunately, it's been a lot of innocent police officers. Right before the Dallas shootings, if you watch this channel, I said, hey, if it gets to the point where it's more controversial to say wait for the facts than it is to demand the public lynching of officers, we have a problem. That video was released right before the Dallas shootings. I am telling you this right now. If we do not start having an honest conversation about what is going on, you are going to create an atmosphere that you can't take back and you will regret. That's the only purpose to this video.